Welcome back. If you're here, you already know what an ERP is from our last explainer. So we're skipping the basic definitions today and looking straight under the hood of SAP. As an enterprise systems consultant, I can tell you this is where the real magic happens. We're going to demystify this massive ecosystem by breaking it down into its core functional modules. Here's our game plan for today. We'll start with what SAP modules actually are, then dive into the finance and sales modules, followed by logistics and HR. After that, we'll see exactly how they all work together in the real world, and finally, where you should start if you're a beginner.
All right, Section 1, what are SAP modules?
So to really wrap your head around SAP, you got to realize it's not just one giant clunky monolith of code. Instead, it uses dedicated building blocks, we call them modules, to handle specific business departments. Think about it. Accounting, the warehouse, human resources, they all have totally different jobs, right? So each department operates inside its own dedicated module, giving them the exact functionality they need day to day.
And this is exactly why SAP is just such a powerhouse. You're basically assembling puzzle pieces that fit your company's unique vibe. Since every business has its own quirks and requirements, they can configure these individual pieces to match their specific workflows. And the best part? You don't have to rewrite the core software code from scratch to do it.
The absolute vital takeaway here is this. While each department gets a tool tailored perfectly for them, the underlying data remains totally unified across the entire company. So if someone makes a change in the warehouse module, boom, it instantly reflects in the accounting module. It's all one single source of truth, beautifully connected through end-to-end business processes.
Moving right along to Section 2, Finance and Sales modules. Let's talk about the money and the orders. Okay, SAP FI, or Financial Accounting. This is literally the financial heart of the organization. It tracks every single dollar coming in and going out, ensuring your external reporting is accurate and real-time. For example, your general ledger is your central hub for all financial data. Then you've got accounts payable, handling vendor invoices, like say paying an insurance vendor 15 grand, while accounts receivable tracks what your customers owe you. It even handles your fixed assets and reconciles your bank statements. It's the whole financial shebang. Now, if FI is the heart, SD, sales and distribution, is the handshake with your customer. This module handles the absolutely critical order-to-cash business process. We're talking about managing everything from that very first customer inquiry and quote all the way through to delivering the final product and, most importantly, collecting the cash. Let's walk through the exact path a customer takes. You kick things off with pre-sales quotations. Those can automatically convert into a sales order using a transaction code, or T-code, like VA01. Next, shipping documents are generated to actually pick the goods from your warehouse. And finally, billing generates the invoice. And here is the kicker. Every single one of those steps generates transactions that update the FI module automatically. The second that invoice is created, your accounts receivable team in finance already knows about it. No emails required. All right, Section 3, Logistics and HR modules. We've got the money sorted. Now let's talk about the products and the people. Enter SAP MM, Materials Management. This is the module that ensures your company never, ever runs out of the raw materials needed to keep your supply chain running. It manages the procure-to-pay process. You'll use it to whip up purchase orders, maybe using T-code ME21N to buy stock from your vendors. It tracks physical inventory locations, manages internal transfers, and holds massive databases of material and vendor records. Basically, it keeps the shelves stocked. Now, if your company actually makes physical products, you're going to rely heavily on SAP PP, or production planning. Think of this as the master recipe and instruction manual for manufacturing. Using bills of materials, which are basically your ingredient lists, and routings, which are your step-by-step assembly instructions, the PP module calculates exactly what components you need. It schedules the factory floor, balances the workload across different machines, and runs material requirements planning so production literally never skips a beat.
So how do these two interact? Think of it this way. Materials management is the team running out to secure the flour and sugar. Production planning is the team actually using the recipe to bake the cake. They are totally distinct functions, but they rely entirely on each other to get that final sellable product out the door.
But hey, none of these systems run without actual human beings, right? That's where SAP HCM, Human Capital Management, comes in. This module tracks the complete life cycle of your workforce, from the day they're hired to the day they retire. It handles organizational structure, time management, complex benefits, and yeah, everyone's favorite, payroll processing.
If you have an employee, every piece of vital administrative data about them lives right here.
Moving on to Section 4, how these modules work together.
This step-by-step lifecycle really demonstrates the true power of an ERP. Let's take a real-world manufacturing company. First, they use the MM module to buy raw materials. Once that stuff arrives, the PP module schedules the factory floor to turn it into a finished product, let's say a high-tech widget. Next, the sales team uses SD to process a customer order and ship that widget out. Then, FI automatically records the revenue and the material cost. All the while, HCM is processing the payroll for the factory workers who built the thing. So an action in the warehouse instantly ripples through production, sales, and the general ledger. It's all connected.
And because these modules all share one single database, leadership gets a real-time transparent view of the entire operation. You don't have to wait around for some weekly spreadsheet. There's no siloed data where the warehouse has no clue what the sales team is promising. It is a fully integrated ecosystem that completely eliminates redundant data entry and just massively improves decision-making across the board.
Finally, Section 5. Where should beginners actually start?
Looking at all these options, you might be thinking, where do I even begin? Well, FI is one of the most widely implemented modules globally, which means market demand is incredibly high. But it does require a pretty solid understanding of accounting principles. MM and SD are fantastic mid-level entry points, also super high demand. PP tends to be a bit more niche and complex, mostly sought after in the manufacturing sector. And HCM is a solid bet if you're into the HR side of things.
Here's the secret to mastering this ecosystem. You absolutely do not need to learn every single module at once. Honestly, just pick the puzzle piece that naturally aligns with the business experience you already have. Spent years working in a warehouse? Start with MM. Got a background in HR? Focus on HCM. Leaning on what you already know about business makes learning the actual SAP software significantly easier. Regardless of which module you end up choosing, you're gonna need to master the core navigation tools. You'll use T-codes as quick shortcuts to jump right into tasks, like typing VA01 to create a sales order. You can use the standard SAP menu tree to click through department folders, or if you're lucky enough to be on modern systems, you'll be using the S/4HANA Fiori Launchpad. That organizes your tasks into sleek, tile-based apps, perfect for managing things like business partner master records.
So now that you've seen how the whole enterprise engine snaps together, the next step in this journey is totally up to you. Which piece of the SAP puzzle are you going to master first? Will you be a financial whiz in FI, or maybe a supply chain guru in MM? And think about this. As companies keep pushing toward cloud-based systems like S/4HANA, how do you think the roles within these modules are going to evolve over the next 5 years? It's a lot to chew on. Choose your path, start digging into those T-codes, and build that expertise. Thanks for hanging out with me.